You are now listening to Cryptid Cocktail Party. Creatures, let's meet for a drink. It's a treat. Join us in the fight. Cryptid Cocktail Party. Cryptid Cocktail Party.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host, Dave. Unfortunately, Sarge cannot be here today. He is stuck in the Lone Star State. So I have a special guest lined up to take his place, and that is my good friend Dipper from Killed by a Yeti. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad you're here. I'm happy we could finally do this again.
Me too. I love coming on here. I love this show. It's great.
Yeah. So what's new? What's new in your world? What's going on with you?
We just released a new album.
You did, and it fucking rips, dude.
Dude, thank you.
It's
and
so
that has
good.
the voice actor of Chowder on it, so that's cool. I love that album. It's my favorite so far.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna
Thank you.
I'm gonna be honest. I did get a sneak peek of it before it came out, so I may be biased. It took everything in me to not talk about it to people.
You're like, you should listen to this. You're like, oh wait, you can't.
Yeah, you know, it feels good to be in the know about things that other people aren't in the know about. You know, I feel honored and blessed to have been given.
It
that
makes you feel
opportunity.
special. It really does. You're like, hey, you want me to listen to the new song? Yeah. Did Gabe send it to you?
Yeah.
Of course he did. I would have sent it to you, but
Yeah.
he has more access than I do to things.
I think he was just eager to have people listen to it before it came out.
Yeah, we all were. We were so pumped on that album. It turned out good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. But we'll talk about it at the end. You can plug it more. We'll, maybe tell the people what it's called.
You got it.
All right. So Dipper, I already know the answer to this. You're a cryptids guy, right?
Yes, I love them.
Okay.
They're fun.
Are you a true crime guy?
I like true crime. I married a goth girl, so it's guilty by association with goth girls. So true crime is just there, and I do enjoy it.
Okay. All right. Well, what if I say today's story is kind of like a combination of the two? If that makes sense.
I would be stoked.
Would that pique your
Give
interest?
it to me.
All right. So,
It would pique my interest very much.
all right, Dipper. So this week we are headed to beautiful Northern California, but not like the fun version with like wine tastings, hikes through the redwoods, and tech bros doing ayahuasca. We are heading deep into what's known as the Emerald Triangle, which, for those of you who may be unfamiliar, this is like a remote, heavily forested region that for decades was one of the biggest illegal weed production areas in the country. Rugged terrain, not many roads in or out, lots of money and guns, and spattered with folks that aren't too keen on outsiders or the law. It's kind of like it's like the perfect place to have an illegal grow operation. So this is where we're going to be today, and where our story begins. Are you familiar with the Emerald Triangle at all? Like, is this,
You just blew my mind about a whole weed operation. So let's go.
All right, so in 1993, 3 men on a remote grow site in Mendocino County were allegedly, which is a word you're going to hear a lot throughout this episode, so be ready. They were allegedly found dead in the woods, and not like someone shot them for trying to raid their crops and then dumped in the woods kind of way. The rumors were that these men were torn apart, limb from limb type shit, and the explanation people gave as to who or what could have done something so heinous wasn't some rival crew or robbery gone bad. Word around town was that the perpetrator was in fact Bigfoot.
Semantics aside, that's a movie I want to see.
All right, so this is kind of I don't know how well known this story is. I mean, it's pretty kind of well, but you're not familiar with the Bigfoot murders?
No, I'm not actually, and this is brand new. So I'm glad I came out with this with not knowing shit.
All right, so I assume you're ready to dive in to the story.
Oh hell yeah!
Okay, so allegedly, there's that word again. Sometime in the fall of 1993, 3 men working on a remote grow site off of Spy Rock Road in Mendocino County were found dead out in the woods by some neighboring growers. Not too uncommon, but not super common either. But this is an area that at the time was already known for being pretty isolated, paranoid, and not exactly welcoming of strangers. What makes this story different than just like your typical grower on grower violence was the manner in which they were killed. Normally you would think shooting, stabbing, hit over the head with a large branch. Unfortunately, these dudes weren't so lucky. According to accounts, these dudes were straight up mutilated. Their bodies were torn to shreds, their limbs were ripped off, and then scattered around the site. Growing equipment and plants were knocked over and destroyed. But what's weird is that none of the weed was missing. In this area, weed is serious money. So if this had been a robbery or a raid from like a rival crew, you would have expected that crop to be just straight up gone. But it was left behind, which just added to how bizarre and unsettling the scene was. And again, just to be clear, everything up to this point is alleged. I just want to make that clear again real quick, because this next part is where the story actually starts to become documented, all thanks to a chance encounter between a journalist and the men who say they discovered the scene. So according to journalist David Holthouse, on the night that this all happened, two men from a neighboring grow site showed up at a cabin he happened to be staying at. It's important to note he wasn't working as a journalist then. He was just some 20-something-year-old fresh out of college kid. He just
dude in the woods.
Yeah, he was like bouncing around odd jobs, writing, and then like occasionally weed adjacent jobs. So yeah, so they show up at his cabin, panicked, visibly shaken, and barely coherent. They told him that they had stumbled onto 3 bodies in the woods, and whatever did this to them wasn't human. They told him about massive footprints in the mud, strange sounds in the trees, and something large moving through the forest just out of sight. And then they flat out just told him it was Bigfoot. And at the whole house, the men weren't joking or exaggerating. Like to him, they seemed genuinely terrified. But after that night, nothing followed. There was no police reports. No one was called. No investigation ever started, which, I mean, yeah, it's an illegal grow op. Like calling the cops just because you found a couple bodies shredded up like pulled pork is basically like calling in your own raid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I found these bodies, but don't worry about the grow field in the back.
Like they would just like look over that. Like, I mean, I guess murder is worse than maybe not in 1993. I feel like that was like the height of the war on drugs. Like you would have been fucked. They wouldn't have overlooked one for the other. They
would have skipped over the dead bodies and just moved over to the weed.
Probably. And actually, that's probably truer than you think for reasons we'll get into coming up. So instead of law enforcement getting involved, the story stayed where it happened, among the people living and working there, passed around from grower to grower, neighbor to neighbor. And as far as the outside world was concerned, nothing happened. Again, there was no police reports, no missing persons, no body, no crime scene. And inside the Emerald Triangle, people knew something violent had gone down. But why did they jump to the conclusion that it was Bigfoot? Like, where did that even come from? Do you want to venture any guesses?
I mean, I don't know how prominent mountain lions or some sort of big cat are out there, or
I don't know.
Wolf, like, a bear. It is California. It is bear country. Like, that's the biggest thing that comes to mind. I was like, yeah, they were shredded to pieces. I was like, yeah, do you know how big a bear is?
I mean, bear is valid. I honestly should have probably looked into some of the more of the nature that's in that area. I didn't.
I could be wrong because I don't know if bears are up there.
Yeah, that's true. Well, as I'm sure a lot of people listening know, and I'm sure you probably just didn't put this together right away, is that Northern California, especially up around Mendocino, Humboldt, and Trinity counties, this has been like steeped in Bigfoot lore for almost forever. It's the same region where the Patterson-Gimlin footage was filmed back in like the 60s. There's also like roadside Bigfoot statues, museums, gift shops, you name it. And if you grew up around or lived in those woods long enough, Bigfoot was just kind of part of your life. And honestly, the woods do a lot of that heavy lifting for you too. Like the forests there are fucking ancient. They got massive redwoods, thick canopies. It's pretty much dark there in the middle of the day. Sound travels
That's
weird.
Cool as fuck though.
Yeah, distances are hard to judge, and you can hear shit moving around you and have absolutely no idea what it is or where it is. So even people that like don't believe in Bigfoot will tell you the woods up there just kind of feel a little off. I guess. So when you combine all that with extreme isolation, armed paranoid grow sites, people already on edge from raids, and a brutal unexplained act of violence, Bigfoot becomes An easy answer. It also happens to be a safe answer because blaming a cryptid doesn't get anyone arrested, it doesn't start a war with a neighboring grow, and doesn't force you to name a killer who might still be living 20 minutes up the mountain with an AR-15 and a meth problem. Does that make sense?
Just blame Bigfoot. Just blame Bigfoot. Just blame Bigfoot. Jeff won't come down the hill and murder us all.
Kind of, yeah. That's kind of the thing. So whether the men that told the story truly believed it was Bigfoot or whether they just didn't want to accuse a very real human being that could potentially do the same to them, the result was the same. Saying Bigfoot did it shut the conversation down. And in a place like Spy Rock in the 90s, shutting the conversation down can be the difference between staying alive or being quote unquote Bigfoot's next victim. But yeah, for decades, that's where the story stayed. Just kind of like a fucked up rumor that Bigfoot went medieval on three dudes in the mountains.
You know what it is? It's like they caught Bigfoot in a stash and they didn't know it was Bigfoot. And they're like, hey. And he's like, that was a bad move, guys. I'm going to kill you now. And then he killed them and took a little bit of weed. He at least took like, you know, just maybe like an eighth with him.
Yeah, maybe like a plant or two. I feel like you won't miss a plant or two in an operation like this. But how are we feeling so far on the story before we go any further?
Whether it's real or not, it's a fun story. That's regardless. It's a fun story. That's a fun story.
And it gets funner, kind of. Not really. It kind of gets sad, but then it gets funner again, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
it's a roller coaster.
Yeah. But that night, all the way back in 1993, and that story was stuck in the back of the mind of the man who had heard about it way back when it first happened, David Holthouse. Now, by now, he isn't some broke 20-something crashing in a cabin anymore. He's gone on to become an investigative journalist covering extremist groups, outlaw subculture, and violent underground worlds. And the more time he spent reporting on these kinds of environments, the more the 1993 story kind of started eating at him. Because the thing is, once you've seen and reported on enough real violence like he has, you start to recognize a pattern. And the whole quote-unquote Bigfoot tore three men apart story didn't really jive with him anymore as he got older. Like, it didn't sound like folklore or whatever you want to call it to him anymore. It sounded like misdirection. So he went back to Mendocino County decades later and started asking questions. Carefully, of course. Dude wasn't trying to be next. You know what I mean?
While you ask questions.
Yeah. He just wanted to get to the bottom of what really happened. And this reinvestigation eventually became the Hulu docuseries Sasquatch. Did you ever see that?
No, I've seen it though. Every time I go through Hulu, I'm like, is it worth my time? Have you seen it?
I have. It's really good.
Oh, I should watch it then.
Yeah. It starts out like it's going to be like a cryptid mystery. Like the interviews, like Bigfoot researchers, they talk about sightings, typical Squatch documentary type shit, but it doesn't stay that way for long.
Oh, that's sick. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because the deeper Holthouse dug, the mystery really isn't Bigfoot. It was why nobody ever talked about the very real human beings up there. And as Holthouse started to track down and talk to old growers, former camp officers, and people who had been around Spy Rock in the 90s, a different picture started to kind of form. One that had nothing to do with folkloric beasts in the woods and more to do with money, violence, and power, all connected to the illegal weed trade, obviously. And
it makes sense.
Yeah, and for anyone wondering, when I say camp officer, I don't mean like a security guard at a campground. CAMP stands for Campaign Against Marijuana Planting, which was a joint state and federal task force that would drop into the woods by helicopter during the fall and summer and raid grow sites. Just that's a normal thing that we do. You know, it's a normal thing. I just wanted to clarify, so if anyone wanted to know what camp meant. So once Holthouse started to peel back the layers, the Bigfoot explanation fell apart pretty fast. How it took him several decades to get there, I don't know. The first thing he learned was who the victims were, and this is where the episode gets kind of topical. They weren't random drifters or rival kingpins. They were Mexican migrant workers, just laborers working the grow site. These were the people who did the hardest and most dangerous work, but had the least power when shit went sideways. And that fact is important. In the early 90s, the illegal weed trade wasn't some chill communal hippie operation like I'm sure it was at one point. It was all about money. And with that came biker gangs, armed growers, territorial disputes, and a very clear hierarchy. And way down at the bottom of that hierarchy were the migrant workers. So once Holstead discovered the identity of the victims, it started to make a lot more sense. The men who were killed weren't the people that owned the land or the people running the operation. They were migrants. They were temporary, paid in cash, often undocumented, and with the least protections. And if anything happens to them, there isn't like a clean path to report it. Can't go to the cops. Their employer for sure isn't calling the cops. Their families are hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. And the other migrant workers working alongside them aren't going to open their mouths because doing so could put their names next on the list. So when these three men were killed, the system was already set in place to let it just kind of vanish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's the easiest way to get rid of the problem. Blame it on something that doesn't exist and just move past it.
Yeah, and as Halstead learned, violence like this wasn't out of the ordinary. People went missing, people got hurt, people got torn into pieces and scattered on the woods like human confetti, and most of the time, the news never made it past the tree line. It became just another thing that everyone knew about, but never talked about. And that's where this story shifts from victims to power. Violence like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a system. And in the Emerald Triangle, systems are enforced by people who sit at the top, not at the bottom. And once Holt House started asking who controlled the area, one name kept coming up. A local grower and heavy hitter known by the name, can you guess what his name is?
No.
Bigfoot Gary.
Are you serious? So Bigfoot did kill them technically. It makes sense now. Oh, okay.
Multiple sources told Holt House that the description of the murders fit him. Even former law enforcement admitted that the rumor, quote unquote, sounded like Gary. Now, at this point, Holt House even started questioning his own memory of that night in 1993. Did the men who told him the story say Bigfoot killed them, or did they say Bigfoot Gary killed them? And that distinction matters because if the killer had a nickname like that, it's not hard to see how the story could go from Bigfoot Gary killed these guys to Bigfoot killed these guys. You are you okay?
This is an amazing story. This is like better than an M. Night Shyamalan ding dong twist. Like, you know, his name was Bigfoot Gary. Dun dun dun.
It's pretty good. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's good. I like the story.
Yeah. Hull House eventually tracked Gary down and confronted him, but Gary denied any involvement because why the fuck would he admit to some random journalist that he literally tore 3 dudes apart?
Yeah, I was just out in the woods, you know, just tearing some of the workers apart. It was just some, you know, what I did on the daily.
Yeah, just part of my day to day. But based on all the evidence, anonymous calls, off-the-record conversations, and people who were very careful about what they would and wouldn't say, it became clear to Holt House that these killings were deliberate. I mean, they would have to be. You don't just rip someone's limbs off by accident. But no, in the sense that it was a planned hit to assert power, control, and fear. And the brutality of it all wasn't even the point. It was the message it sent. You leave the bodies, don't take the weed, let everyone see what happens when you fuck with the wrong people.
The Bigfoot Gary.
Yeah. So obviously the story isn't about Bigfoot or cryptids. It's just kind of fun. I mean, not really fun. You know what I mean? But the reason why I wanted to cover this story is because it's about what cryptids and monsters are used for in places where the truth is dangerous. This isn't the only time a monster has been blamed for something very human. In a lot of isolated communities, especially ones built around illegal activity, folklore can kind of act as a camouflage. It gives people a way to explain violence without pointing at someone who could hurt them back. Blaming a cryptid doesn't get anyone arrested. It doesn't lead to retaliation. It doesn't invite cops or reporters. It lets people acknowledge that something fucked up happened without having to say who did it, even if they probably all know who did. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this isn't unique. This isn't unique to Northern California. You see versions of this everywhere. Appalachian ghost stories used to keep people off moonshine trails, shit like that. Alaskan villages would blame disappearances on wild men in the woods. And in Mendocino County, Bigfoot was already a huge part of the culture there. So it was all right there. So when 3 men were brutally killed and nobody could safely talk about it, the myth was there waiting to be used. Whether the people spreading the story truly believed it or not, it really doesn't matter because the result was the same. A real crime got buried under a legend, and once that happens, the story takes on a life of its own. It turns into a campfire tale, a rumor, something spooky instead of actionable, and the longer it sits, the harder it is to untangle, especially when the people who know the truth are still very much alive and still very dangerous and could do the same
thing. You want to go talk to Bigfoot Gary? I don't.
Yeah.
No thanks.
The Bigfoot story didn't really it wasn't there to distract from the truth. It was there to protect the truth and protect the people saying the truth.
The amount of history, the amount of like spooky stuff that's used to like cover up stuff, like is wild. I mean, they've been like, even if you go in the CIA in the 50s, they were covering stuff up with vampires.
Yeah, the CIA Oswald thing in the Philippines or whatever. Yeah. I don't know if that's really covering. I mean, I guess it was. Was it really a cover up though? I feel like it was them exploiting.
Well, it was
folklore.
using them to create violence. Essentially, is what I'm getting at. They're using it to create violence and being like, you shouldn't do this or this is going to happen to you.
So where does that leave us? Well, we know this wasn't Bigfoot. There's no evidence of a cryptid attack, no physical proof, no pattern that supports anything supernatural at all. What does exist is decades of violence tied to the illegal weed trade, a culture of silence, and a system that made it very easy for certain people to disappear without consequence. We also know that the story didn't spread because people were stupid or gullible. It spread because it worked. It gave everyone a way to acknowledge something horrific without pointing a finger at someone who could hurt them, like we said before. In a place like where they are, that can be the difference between surviving and just vanishing off the face of the earth altogether. And the fucked up part is that it worked for a long time. Like, no one was arrested. No one's been charged. No one has ever officially answered for what happened to those three men. And that's really what makes this story kind of stick. Not the idea of like a monster in the woods, but the realization that folklore can be used as a shield. That legends, they aren't just there to entertain us. They can protect people. Sometimes the wrong people.
It's just so fucking wild. That is a fucking wild story.
Yeah.
It is a good fucking, that's going to be a new Yeti song, like for sure. Like that just inspired me to write a song about, you know, all that going on, but just been like, but yeah, Sasquatch did it. You know, Bigfoot did it. It was him. And you're like, it was really Bigfoot? Yeah, like Bigfoot Gary down the road. It was actually Bigfoot.
Yeah, but I think the lesson here, if there is one, I've never done a lesson on the show before, is that when you strip the myth away, what you're left with isn't mysterious or unknowable. It's just humans doing what humans have always done in places where they think no one is watching. Some monsters don't leave footprints. They don't make a sound. They don't live in the forest unless you're Bigfoot Gary. Sometimes they just know the woods well enough to make the truth disappear. But there you have it. That is the Bigfoot murders. I'm glad you enjoyed the story. You got any thoughts, questions, concerns?
The story fucked. Great story, by the way. When he started off, I thought it was going to be an actual, like, oh, they're going to try to present this as like a real Bigfoot story, but then at the end, like, you're like, it's Bigfoot Gary, and I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Bigfoot Gary.
So
I feel like someone named Bigfoot Gary isn't a murderous weed grower. I feel like someone named Bigfoot Gary is just like a tall friend of yours who gives the best hugs. Like, Bigfoot Gary sounds like a nice dude nickname, not someone who hacks
he's
up.
He's texting you in the morning. He's like, you doing okay today? He's like, you feeling okay? I heard you were sick. Let me bring you some soup.
Yeah.
That's Bigfoot Gary.
He'll bring you pho when you're hungover. Like, Bigfoot Gary's a nice guy. I feel like you should have had a different nickname.
Oh yeah, like it's like Bigfoot Greg. You're like, yay, there you go. Fuck Greg. Like that sounds like someone who murder you.
Yeah,
for like a penny.
Yeah. So, I'm glad you liked it. Do you have any questions?
I really did.
Maybe I can answer them. I don't think I do. If anyone has any questions or want to know more,
I'm gonna watch that documentary.
Yeah, just watch Sasquatch on Hulu. It's really good. It's not that many episodes. I think it's like 3 or 4.
I think he pretty much summed up the whole story, and it's as like in the beginning, like, yeah, I have a shit ton of questions, and by the end, you're like, here, and you're like, oh, never mind. I have no more questions. It's all done. It's really sad that like all these atrocities can be covered up by, Bigfoot. And then you're like, yeah, we know who did it, but we're not going to talk about it because I don't want to die. Do you want to die? You're like, no, we'll just leave it here. We'll just Bigfoot. That's all you got to say. Just shut the fuck up. You didn't hear no evil, see no evil. You just go left. And yeah, it's wild. I can't believe that, like, this type of shit. I can't believe I've never heard this story.
What gets me though is that his name is Bigfoot Gary. Why wouldn't you find another monster or something? Because if you're just saying Bigfoot did it, everyone fucking knows who Bigfoot is. Like, even he knows. He's like, they're fucking talking about me, obviously. Who else would it be? You'd think they would have found a different creature or just blamed it on a bear.
Yeah, I would have blamed it on a bear. Like the bears got him. A bear. I don't know if we're bear country. That I'd have blamed it on a cat. Cat showed up.
Exactly.
Big cat, like this big of a cat showed up and just.
I guess people weren't
dragged him into the woods.
People weren't that imaginative back then. I guess I don't know. All right.
And how come it has to be like some poor person that has to die? How come it can't just be like the asshole supervisor who's working there and he's like, "Fuck you, go back to work," and he's like, he's dead.
Well, it's because
I don't like his attitude.
We already discussed it. It's because they're usually undocumented migrants. It's not unlike what's happening today. So. Yeah,
I know, and I feel bad for them. So I just want to help them and use my Buster word to stop. All the evil against them.
Well, Godspeed.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for bringing me on for this story.
Yeah, I figured you would enjoy it.
Fuck you, Sarge. Fuck you, Sarge. You missed out on a good story. Yeah, he stayed in Texas to miss a good story.
It is what it is. I'm sorry it took so long. It was crazy that this wasn't even a long episode. I just never had to write a mixture of a cryptid story and true crime before, so I was trying to hit all the notes. I think it was all right. Whatever.
You did a great job. I love you, Sarge, by the way. I was kidding when I said fuck you. I want to give you kisses.
Fuck him. All right. All right. So that is the episode. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Dipper. We talked about it at the beginning of the episode, but anything you want to plug? Where can people find you, your band, all that good stuff?
I'm a lead vocalist of Killed by a Yeti. We did the Cryptid Cocktail theme song. We just dropped an album. It's got the voice actor of Chowder from Cartoon Network on it. And he's really cool. His name's Nick Jones. He's my best friend.
Hell yeah.
You can find me on TikTok. I make a lot of TikTok videos about dumb and random stuff. I will piss you off if you are not empathetic. You know this already. You know how far I go. And I'm on Instagram. Find me there. I make dumb videos and talk about One Piece a lot.
And if I'll put some links somewhere for people to find you. I'll tag you in all the posts and stuff like that. But if you're having trouble finding Killed by a Yeti, they are tagged in our Instagram bio, and you can find us at Cryptid Cocktail. Find us on TikTok, Cryptid Cocktail Party. Please leave us a 5-star rating or review wherever you can. Spotify, Apple. It really helps. Share as much as you can. That way, more people can find us. And I think that is all I have to say. So with that out of the way, Dipper, would you like to say goodbye and I love you to the audience?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for having me. Goodbye. I love you.